Welcome to Therapist Cynthia's office. But in all seriousness, welcome to my channel again, you lovely people, you lovely friends. Thank you for all those who have watched my most recent video about fall fashion. I'm actually wearing a top today that adheres to some of the concepts that I discussed in that video, and I will link that video above here so you can go watch it, and as well down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new here. I make videos on femininity, being a high value woman. I make some videos on etiquette as well as the role of women today, and we brush upon some perhaps controversial, and I don't always like to use that word, but I have to use that word, topics that concern women. Today's video is long overdue because about, I would say, a month or a month and a half ago, you all expressed your interest in knowing more about feminine intelligence. So the reason why, as a feminine and high value woman, you want to develop your intelligence is because your intelligence is a great tool to help you bond with other people. We know that developing and expressing our femininity is very much people-centric. You cannot do that if you do not have the intelligence to put yourself in that situation to create the relationships and conversations that are going to plant the seed for a life-giving relationship to grow, whether that be a friendship within your family or with your significant other. Closely related to what we talked about in that first video is emotional intelligence. If you are working a feminine career, you know that emotional intelligence is one of the most important aspects in your success in that career, because emotional intelligence deals with the opportunity, the ability to sense the emotions of others and appropriately respond. It also deals with your ability to sense your own emotions and to react and filter yourself in a strategic manner that is going to give you the best and most pleasing, or whatever you want to consider it, outcome. So I am not a psychologist. I was joking about the therapist thing if you didn't catch on, but I really have a deep interest in psychology. I'm going to let you in on a secret and tell you that I'm pretty much a nerd. Despite some of the things that some of the trolls may be saying on this channel, I did very, very well in school, and I actually wanted to add psychology as another concentration in my degree. However, they told me that I had too many classes. So that being said, I love researching and I love psychology. I am, of course, not the best source to tell you about emotional intelligence, but I am going to give you some of the techniques that I incorporate in my everyday life and some of the ways that I have developed my own emotional intelligence. Without further ado, I wanted to get into the 5 areas of emotional intelligence. I did not invent these, they were invented by this person. I'm going to put it right here. The first area is self-awareness. This deals with being aware of your own emotions. Let's start with ourselves first. In order to understand the emotions of other people, you need to understand the emotions of yourself, because the human experience really means that we are all kind of on an equal playing field and we all feel similar emotions in one way or the other. Being a feminine woman means that you want to embrace your emotions. You really want to feel them, but you also have to have a type of filter to know when to properly express these and when to properly respond with a certain emotion that you're feeling. In terms of negative emotions, when you are feeling, for example, jealousy or anger, I like to use the why technique. So every thought that comes into your head, follow that train of thought with why. If you are feeling jealous perhaps of a certain person, ask yourself why you are feeling that emotion. That will then lead you to an answer of, why am I feeling that emotion? Because I did not like the way that they were doing this and people responded with this way, so on, so on, so on. Just try to follow your train of thought with critical questions that ask and try to get at the root of why you are feeling something. I know this is kind of an abstract abstract concept, but try to do it in your everyday life, and you will really see once you put it into practice that it is going to work. Now, once you understand the origins of your emotion, you are going to want to know your baseline level of calm. A way to do this would be, of course, to meditate. If this is against your belief, you could practice just being calm with your thoughts. Take at least 5 minutes every day to not say anything at all, and honestly sit in your car or sit in your house. Don't pay attention to anything at all. Close your eyes if you have to, and really identify the thoughts that are going through your head. Once you practice deep breathing and muscle relaxation techniques, you will hit a level of calm that you will get accustomed to over time when you practice that 5 minutes of self-awareness. So the reason why you want to do this is because if you are aware of your baseline of calm and you feel a type of positive or negative emotion, you are going to better understand that you are deviating from that baseline of calm, and you are going to be able to be self-aware enough to bring yourself back to that level using techniques that we will talk about in the upcoming minutes. I also encourage you to self-reflect on your days as well as your weeks. If you are a believer, I just encourage you to ask God to sit with you. This is something actually that I learned in church. At the end of a week, to reflect on the actions and the events that occurred. Self-reflection is also a powerful tool if you are a believer or non-believer, because you can practice journaling and you will get used to understanding why you felt a certain emotion based on the situation that you are writing or describing. There is a book for everyone. You'll have to read it for yourself to know if it aligns with your personal beliefs, but it is called Mind Over Matter, and this is a book that I was recommended by my therapist when I was dealing with my generalized anxiety, and it helps you deconstruct your reasoning behind your anxiety if you are a person with fluctuating emotions.
I had to freeze the video here because I forgot that I hadn't added one of the points into my videos, which is I would highly recommend, of course, again, if it aligns with your beliefs, that you take the Myers-Briggs personality type test. Many of you might already be familiar with this actually, because this is something that I think they teach in secondary school right now. And this will help you identify the underlying beliefs of what carries you through your everyday life. For me, my personality type is INFJ, which explains a lot behind this channel because we tend to be very loyal people, as well as people who kind of question the way that society runs their life and the way that society is structured, and we tend to believe in movements, hence the fact that I'm very passionate about the femininity movement.
The next area of emotional intelligence is self-regulation. A trick that I want to give to you is to encourage you to bring it back to basics. Think about if you were in kindergarten. Self-regulation is essentially auto-regulation, and it is what we teach children to identify their emotions and how they can better respond. When children are having outbursts of, even if they're positive or negative or anxious outbursts, we tell them to breathe, to calm down, and take a few seconds to tell us why they are feeling that way. So do that with yourself. Honestly, use the 2 or 3 second rule. Calm yourself down and ask yourself why you are feeling that way. Auto-regulation is also the ability to understand the most appropriate emotion that you should be expressing in a given situation. A way that you can determine the appropriate emotion based on your personal circumstance. I wish I could give you more details, but this ranges from all different scenarios, is to sleep on it. So after you sleep on something, you usually have enough time to realize the way that you should respond to said situation. You can also ask a good friend, a genuine friend, or a family member to evaluate your response in a given social circumstance, and they can perhaps give you some objective feedback on how you can improve or how you should have responded. Remember, like I mentioned in my classy, how to be classy video, you want to keep an open mind mind, and you don't want to limit yourself to thinking that they are coming from a negative space. If they are not attacking your character, but they are criticizing the situation, they do have your best interest at heart. The third area of emotional intelligence, now it deals with other people. So being a feminine woman is the ability to interact and make other people feel calm, feel warmth, and feel loved in our presence. The joy that you will feel as a feminine woman when those people feel those positive emotions is going to really help feed your femininity. One of the easiest ways to do this is to practice empathy. So empathy is something that for me at least did not come natural just due to my anxiety. I was always worried that I wouldn't exactly respond in the correct way to a sad situation or even to a joyful situation. So we are going back to basics, and we are talking about the importance of listening, practicing good conversation. Please go watch one of my first videos on this. I know that I am still improving over time and it's still a newbie video, but if you take the time to either read the blog post or listen to the video, you will see that these tips are valuable. Another thing, going back to being like a child, what we tell kids is that you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you should listen more often than you speak. When you are speaking with somebody and trying to express empathy, try to find some sort of middle ground. Now, you can probably infer from this video that I am a rather socially and politically conservative woman with traditional beliefs. However, when I talk to my more progressive and feminist friends, I can find middle ground with them in that we both agree on the betterment of women. However, we have different approaches to how we are going to achieve those things. Another way to easily practice empathy is to have some sort of a distraction. So instead of coming out and asking the person about that search situation that you're trying to bond with them over, you could perhaps invite them to go on a walk or to go for coffee. When you are doing something with somebody, it is easier for you to express genuine concern and to feel more at ease because you are sort of distracted in a way where your body is doing something else and feeling more comfortable with that thing, which will cause your mind to then be tricked into feeling comfortable to sharing an experience or to listening in a genuine and authentic way. The next thing is social skills. So of course I want to make a video about language, but as you know, I speak 2 languages. So developing one language to a level of advancement in comparison to the other one isn't always going to be possible for me, simply because I'm keeping 2 languages up at one time. There are of course people that is possible for, but they have a special gift, and I don't have that special language gift. So social skills for me meant learning the types of jokes that people imply in their conversation. So these have to do with perhaps the subtle analogies or the subtle expressions that weren't always used in my household, simply because my mother was French and she spoke to us in French. So in order to adapt social skills where I can bond with people in a common, for example, workplace, school, social, church setting, I had to try to learn those things. There are so many resources now, especially on YouTube, for people who are learning a specific language to understand the cultural ways that those languages can be implied into their life. I also wanted to encourage you to continue to be aware of your body language. Try to remain, and like I've stated before in my posture video, an open body language position. You notice that I also talk with my hands a lot. Some people will agree and some people will disagree. This is again a very French thing to do, to talk with your hands. But I really believe that if talking with your hands makes you feel a little bit more at ease, make sure, as long as you are keeping in mind your invisible lines, this doesn't mean that you can't put your hands in front of you from time and time again. But if this helps you feel at ease in your conversation, just go for it. Remember to always remain, Puka! My dog is trying to get some love. Remember to always remain in visual eye contact with that person, as well as to minimize your distracting movements. If you are engaging in a more touchy subject or in a critical subject, remember the positivity and critical feedback sandwich. So that means that you want to have a positive thing to say, your critical thing to say, and then a positive thing to say. Easy peasy like a sandwich. My dog is going nuts, so I'm going to have to talk about the last point, which is your motivation for why you want to develop your emotional intelligence, your EQ, your EI, whatever you want to use the acronym as. You want to develop your emotional intelligence, especially for those of you viewing on this channel, because like we stated, being a feminine woman means being able to express yourself, to understand your emotions, to share those emotions with others, but to understand and appreciate these same emotions in other people. We are so powerful as women in that we kind of are the backbone of every single relationship, really, in this entire world. This doesn't mean that men aren't leaders in their relationship in their own right, but I am talking about the ability for us to bring people together as women. Don't forget to like this video since it helps other people find this topic. And if you enjoyed the video or you have anything else to say, I would love for you to comment down below. But I will see you in our next video. Bye-bye.